So I suppose what we need to do, this is about education, and I think for 20 years it's only people are becoming aware that what our children have been taught is not in their best interest.
Hey.
And for about 10 years in the international and national education system, I have been saying shocking things like, there is a difference between men and women. Yeah. So there actually is a biological difference between men and women. And if you want to diagnose prostate cancer or ovarian cancer, it's actually good that you know that and you're taught that. And what we should not have, as I have been saying for many years, is half of the university saying that that's not true, and half of the scientists and the medical profession saying that it is true. So I think what we need to do is take a good hard look at the education system all over the world, okay? So maybe some of you are aware that there is kind of agendas going on in the world that are actually very divisive. So, well, and it's a national and an international agenda. So the agenda is to separate people, to separate families, to separate fathers and mothers from each other, to separate generations. So to try and say, you know, I think we should apologize to the older generation for how they were treated in the last 4 or 5 months.
Hey, absolutely. Genocide.
And I would like to apologize on behalf of scientists, government advisors, and the medical profession worldwide. No, but I think, you know, somebody should.
Yeah.
And I think it's shocking how they've been treated. Mm-hmm. And I think if I was in a care home, you know, a lot of people, Ireland had the highest number of people died in care homes in Europe, in Ireland. So 62%. Well, I suppose what we want to say is we want to learn lessons, right? So if anyone is aware, the kind of agenda is going on is that they want to have this scare every year or two. So if people are aware that this actually, so more people have probably died from how incorrect treatment than actually from the coronavirus.
Hey!
And I've been privileged to be involved worldwide, and pharmacists and nurses have come, and doctors from 5 countries now, to say that the elderly were given a prescription of morphine instead of actually being given prescriptions so that they wouldn't die. And also in Ireland, as we know, they were not given enough oxygen. So that they actually died in a lot of pain, and it's quite cruel. So while the last 6 months have been that we're doing all this social distancing and masks where there's no evidence for it, to care for people, the people that should have been cared for were the 62% of people that were in care homes, and they should have been given proper treatment.
Amen.
And I was just saying, so, you know, that is, and we are fighting for those people, and we will be publishing a report to try and call for a public inquiry for the new Taoiseach. And it's not in a way because...
Inquiry!
But the inquiry is to learn lessons so it doesn't happen again, okay? And we also have to just be honest, the coronavirus is a seasonal virus. It's mainly in the Northern Hemisphere in February and March. And if you look at the deaths, the main deaths from coronavirus were in February and March. The spikes that happened after the lockdown were to do with the treatment. No influenza actually kills people like that. So it's actually to do with the treatment. Okay, that's fine. Okay, all right. So then now we want to move on to education, okay? So I suppose we want to care for our elderly, and in education we just want to be honest. So what the education system is doing is teaching our children to be victims.
Yeah.
And as we know, they are teaching sexualized education to primary schools, which is entirely inappropriate. And it's psychologically destructive for those children's well-being, okay? Everybody knows it. So what we have to do, and that's why we're talking about free speech, okay? Because if there's, 50 years of research to say that children in primary school, they don't need to be taught about that. In fact, they don't need to think about it. Just leave them alone, let them be children. Yeah. And I suppose I would be saying the best carers for children are their families and their mothers and their fathers.
Yay!
And when we look through the history of the Irish state, when the state has looked after women or children or the elderly, they haven't done a good job. And a lot of the articles and research that's come out to talk about issues in families are exaggerated. And they have deliberately, through the courts, removed fathers from their children.